All right, so I watched a whole bunch of new movies in the last day, two, I guess, and one of them was Separation, starring Rupert Friend and Mamie Gummer. How do you say this girl's name? I know she's Meryl Streep's daughter, um, but what is a Gummer? This is a worse name. Anyway, okay. It's also to get that little girl from like The Haunting of Hill House. She's great, man. She's such a great actress. Now this is from the director of The Boy and another bigger budgeted horror film of the last few years. Maybe it'll come to me. Whatever it is. Anyway, so this is about a it's about a guy who is a comic book artist. He made a comic book that was once popular and now has kind of fallen more into obscurity, and he hasn't really worked in a while, and his wife is getting down on his shit and being like, you're a loser, and is trying to take the kid from him because she thinks that he's an incompetent person, an incompetent father. And then tragedy strikes, and everybody around him is pissed off at him and wanting to try to take his kid, and his life is just not going super well. And then his house starts to have like characters from his comics coming to life in his home, at least one of them anyways. And he of course is trying to figure out why, and to protect his daughter while everyone's against him. This guy is just not having a good life, a good year at least. But anyways, that's as much as you need to know. This movie's getting a lot of shit. Like, I looked on IMDb and I looked at kind of the general consensus. A lot of people are just super blah on this one, saying it's super generic and blah blah blah. But I wanted to check it out to give it its fair day, right? And I will say this up front. I'm a tad biased with this one because it resonates with me very much at the moment, because I do have, two daughters, and I feel like I'm constantly in some kind of custody thing. I don't need to get into that. It's not really of importance why I relate to it, but just understand that I do. I understand what this guy's going through. So in that regard, I'm much more engaged with the story than someone who hasn't went through that would be. So that stuff got me. And a lot of the film has to do with that custody stuff, and his relationship with his daughter, and other people trying to come in and forcibly like kind of call him a loser and try to take the kid. And that stuff all really worked and landed for me, and that might be what a lot of the people are finding boring about the film, or maybe just forced or something. But I thought the acting in this from everybody was very good. Brian Cox is also in this, plays the father-in-law who also hates him. And Brian Cox, of course, is not a guy you want mad at you. He's such an intense person. So he does a very good job. The movie's super well shot. I really enjoyed this. I have to say, I did quite enjoy this. Now, is it generic as far as its story goes? 100%. 100%. This is a generic film that I enjoyed. So typically a film like this, I would be very blah on and be like, you guys didn't take any risks, you didn't do anything new, this and that. And that is pretty true here. But because the story resonated with me, so I got that. That's for me, that's a personal thing for me. So I really, really like synced up with what was going on. Plus I thought the performances were good and that the movie was shot well. But another thing this movie has going for it is its creature design and execution of those creatures in here. I thought those were all great. I loved that stuff. Like the art doesn't, like the art direction and whatnot, as far as how the monster appears. The whole world goes red, and it has like This very almost like drug trippiness to it. There's a scene where he like touches something on the like he walks by, he brushes it, and the thing is like in solid form, but it like kind of turns to liquid, but still kind of looks like how its solid form was. It's really cool. The visuals in this I thought were fantastic. As I said, one of the main creature, the main villainous character monster, it like when it comes around, the whole world goes red, and it has like these kind of like moving branches around it. All that stuff is fantastic. I mean, so great looking. I just, that stuff alone, and then there's like this creepy like contortionist clown, kind of reminds me of Pretzel Jack from season 4 of Channel Zero. That stuff was cool. Yes. Is it tropey? Yes. Is it generic in a lot of places? Absolutely. Are there things that you can kind of roll your eyes at as predictable? Absolutely. Are things forcibly theatrical at times? Absolutely. I still really enjoyed it. I still had a good time with this. You know, I know a lot of people found it boring, found it trite, found it fucking, kind of paint by numbers. And I can't argue with the boring one because I never felt bored, but as I said, I was so engaged with that dramatic element that I was into it, and the performances are solid. Like, everybody's good in this. They have good actors, and the film is super well shot. It feels higher budgeted. And so to me, I was in it. I was in it for sure. I was totally sold. I was totally bought into it. I had a good time with it. I really loved seeing all the creature stuff. Would I have liked more from them? Yes and no. You overuse it, and then it starts to become less creepy. Less is more in these kinds of situations. But of what we do see of all of the, paranormal type stuff going on here, and all the art too, because he's a comic book artist and he does a lot of like drawings and artwork in this. All that stuff is really cool, really well done. And then there's a lot of puppets as well. Like, the daughter has a puppet collection, and the puppets are from his comic book. And all of those are, like, obviously designed for the movie as well, and handcrafted. And those are all super cool as well. So I feel like we just kind of ignore that kind of stuff a lot of the times. There's a lot that goes into movies like this. And the artists who did the drawings and did the puppets and did the creatures and all that stuff, I feel like they'll never get credit in a film like this because a lot of people just kind of pass it off as generic. And even the special effects team and the visual effects for the CGI and whatnot, all of that kind of stuff gets glazed over when somebody finds the film to be generic. And while it can be at times, I think there's more going on here than people are giving it credit for. So, if you see it on like a Netflix or something and you want to check it out for free, just so you don't hate me spending money on it, I think it's one of the better generic films I've watched in a while. So there you go. I quite enjoyed it. I'm not getting the hate on this one as much, but I connect personally with things, so that's probably what it is. But at least appreciate the creature design, the visuals, and the art direction, and all the art on display in the film, because that stuff is pretty damn cool. Anyways, adios.